The Elven Civil War occurred when Malekith poisoned Belshazzar, the current Phoenix King of the time. At the Shrine of Azurian, the other Elven princes refused to elect Malekith as the new king, so Malekith and his men slaughtered them. In an attempt to prove himself worthy, Malekith entered the Flame of Azurian, but was burned. From there, Malekith was taken back to Nagarythe, where he donned the armour of midnight, and he and Morathi launched an invasion of Illyrian and Tor Anroc, beginning the war proper. And that is what we'll be attempting to recreate today, on Legendary difficulty.
All bow before the Witch King.
I'm going to change our starting settlement to the Shrine of Azurian, where Malekith would have been just after being burned by the Sacred Flame. As always, I've changed the map to represent the time period. Ulthuan is controlled by only Elven factions. The objectives and conditions for this campaign are as follows. I need to get Malekith from the Shrine of Azurian to Tor Anroc, and I can't use Malekith himself in battle until I equip him with the Armour of Midnight and he recovers from being burned. I'll be using Morathi as my legendary lord once I can recruit her. I'll then need to invade and take the provinces of Illyrian and Tor Anroc, before ultimately making my escape to Naggarond. I started out by combining my forces and getting Malekith the fuck out of there, and over the next few turns proceeded to just move him towards Nagarythe in march stance. I didn't really know what was going to happen knowing how quickly the AI can get armies together on Legendary, but luckily I managed to get him all the way back without being attacked. Tyrion declared war on me and immediately took back the Shrine of Azurian, well, we all saw that one coming. Despite not being able to use Malekith, I got started on getting an army together so that Morathi would have one ready. And speak of the devil, she was ready to go the following turn. And as I gave her the troops, Illyrian was the next to declare war on me.
We have no friends, only victims.
I thought I'd take the initiative though, and strike first, moving Morathi south and attempting to take the Unicorn Gate. A new day, a new battle, and a new formation to try out. I deployed my army in a sort of wing-like fashion, and immediately had to pull back as the High Elves outranged us by quite a bit. As I pulled back though, I realised that they were charging a single unit of cavalry in behind me, so I got the Black Guard of Naggarond and a spearman unit to turn and face, and managed to catch them out. My bolt throwers, whilst not having the best line of sight, were doing some good work causing elves to explode en masse. That wasn't until they got torn apart by eagles. I tried to get my Dark Shards to take them out, but they also got attacked by the eagle, and then a phoenix for good measure. Nice. While this was going on, I tried to push my Dark Riders up to get into their archers and cause some havoc, but I forgot that Dark Riders suck, and they basically ran away upon getting close to the enemy. Cowards! Partway through the battle, the Dark Elves' Murderous Prowess ability kicked in and the tide really started to turn. I pushed everyone forward, especially the Corsairs and the Dark Shards who were getting stuck in. Morathi managed to reach their lines and started rolling around acrobatic style with blood and gore flying everywhere. And after that, it wasn't long before victory was ours. After taking the Unicorn Gate, I was pleasantly surprised by the fact that apparently we had wiped out Illyrian. I hadn't realised, but Tor Anroc had been quietly at war with Illyrian over the turns I was running away and building an army, and they had pretty much done my job for me. We were truly looking at an all-out Elven civil war. I pushed Morathi on, fresh and encouraged by our first win of the war. This time it was Avalorn who came out to fight us. A fairly flat and open battlefield with two forces who were equal in size and power. I pushed my Dark Shards forward to give them a bit more range and try to lure in some of the enemy forces. I also changed my bolt throwers to multi-shot rounds so they'd be better equipped to deal with infantry. Soon enough, arrows and artillery threatened to block out the sky. As the lines clashed, our sorceress was buffing our troops with stat boosts and flaming attacks, allowing the Black Guard and surrounding units to hold the line. I tried to quickly take down their flyers with arrows, but once again the eagles were tearing apart my bolt throwers. Lions of Crate attacked their left flank, causing havoc. and my Corsairs had been surrounded and were being run over by chariots on the right flank. Luckily, we managed to take down their eagles after some focus fire. Our spears eventually managed to rout the lions, and the Corsairs got some well-needed reinforcements. Soon we had them on the run, and Morathi gave chase, but their lord blocked her path. At first it looked like Morathi was kind of getting beaten up, but eventually Morathi got the better of her, with blood being spilled like it was going out of fashion. Morathi had her second win of the war. I wanted to keep up the aggression and take as much territory as possible before the High Elves stopped fighting each other and I was overwhelmed. So I declared war on Tor Anroc and tried to take the first of the objective settlements, which we managed to do pretty easily. Over the turn, Calador then declared war on us, so that was 4 High Elf factions we were now at war with. Malekith's Armour of Midnight quest finally popped up, and all we had to do was win one more battle against High Elves, which was perfect. Then we'd finally be able to use Malekith in battle. So we went for it. I charged Morathi in against a couple smaller armies of Avalon. Our army started this battle like it was the D-Day landings, as we charged up a hill from a beach under missile and artillery fire. I sent the Crows of Cain ahead to try and deal with their bolt throwers, which had mixed success, but we did enough damage to get them out of action. And while the High Elves were focused on that, we managed to get to the top of the hill and use it to our advantage. Oh, how the tables had turned. Now we were the Germans firing down on the... Wait, are we the bad guys? I saw one particular High Elf obviously lining up the best shot the Warhammer universe had ever seen because she took so damn long to fire, and it actually ended up being the worst shot the universe had ever seen. Well, yeah, that was pretty bad. Their wizard tried to explode a tree on us, but I think they ended up killing more of their own troops than ours. Murderous Prowess had activated, giving us the edge as my Dark Shards took down their Skycutters. I got a pretty cool shot of their wizard all lit up and charging through the night, deflecting arrow after arrow. And the battle ended when we just swarmed the remaining Lord and Hero, with everyone creating one massive Dark Elf death ball. Lovely. It was now time for Malekith to equip the Armour of Midnight and recover from his burns, allowing him to join the fray. Which was great timing, because Morathi and our army were looking a little beaten up. I tried to perform a rite to give them a boost in casualty replenishment, but to no avail, as another Avalon army was upon us. Things weren't looking so great at the start of this battle, and I didn't like our chances. I tried to get as many advantages as possible by using the high ground, but as always, the High Elves seemed to outrange us quite drastically. I sent the Dark Shards forward to lure in some of their cavalry, which worked exceptionally well as I pulled off the old bait and switch with a flaming Sword of Ruin buff, forcing their cavalry to retreat pretty quickly. I also used the Dark Conduit army ability to cause an explosion on one of my own units, but only affecting enemy units, which was absolutely devastating. As the fighting went on, I was forced to pull my troops back. But despite my efforts, we were losing ground, and fast. Soon enough, everyone was dying, fleeing, and the battle was surely lost. Morathi, however, would live to fight another day. With Morathi's army gone, I needed to get Malekith's army together fast. I recruited a Cainite assassin named Harlin, as in the lore, Morathi sent out Cainite assassins to kill the remaining Elven princes. Over the turn, I started losing ground that Morathi had taken to Calador. I sent Harlin on his first mission, attempting to slow down Calador's advance, and critical fail. Great, so yeah, Harlin's dead. I'd managed to salvage the Fire Sorceress out of Morathi's army and get her back to Malekith, and then pulling out all the tricks in the book for any advantage I could find, I recruited a Death Hag for the added casualty replenishment, a Master so that my troops would rank up faster, and another Cainite assassin to hopefully do better than fucking Harlin. Once again, I sent the assassin out on his first mission. Failure. Yeah, cool. Yeah, alright, no worries. At least he wasn't dead, so slightly better than Harlin. Mission 2. I got him to assault a garrison. Success. Okay, cool. Now we're getting somewhere. Malekith tasted victory in his first battle against an Avalon army that was encroaching too close to Nagarythe.
Come, true king, to battle.
I then moved him southwest and stuck him in ambush stance, hoping to catch a Tor Anroc army.
Preparing an ambush.
Morathi was then ready to recruit so I could get her army going again. The ambush actually worked first time, which was pleasantly surprising. With Malekith's army still looking in pretty good condition, I tested my luck to push on and try to take the capital of Tor Anroc. War had found its way to the walls of Tor Anroc. The Dark Elf siege was already well underway, as elven blood was spilled on both sides. Yeah, I fucked up massively. I should have sent my shades around the back to sneak in using their stalk ability, but instead I had them as the first ones scaling the walls under a barrage of missiles.
Look out! Missile fire!
I had sent a small detachment of spearmen to ascend the walls on the right flank where it wasn't guarded at all. Probably should have sent my shades this way, but it is what it is. One unit of my shades were almost wiped out already, so I thought I'd make the most of them by making whoever was near them explode. And they pretty much took out 3 units of high elves with them, so not bad at all. Malekith and his generals were busy breaking down the gate whilst casting spells with no line of sight. My shades were facing heavy resistance, but through a lot of blood and casualties, we did eventually manage to take the walls. Shortly after, the gate also fell to Malekith and his squad. And once he was inside, Malekith caused all kinds of trouble for the vulnerable High Elf archers. Absolutely slaying from his chariot, Malekith rode through their ranks and was chopping off limbs left, right and centre. The Master was focusing on taking down any of their chariots with great success. Another defensive structure fell before them as they continued their onslaught, and to be honest, I felt particularly sorry for this one unit who got immediately blown up. Blimey. And with our generals inside causing chaos and death and our army not far behind, the city was ours and Tor Anroc burned, just as Malekith had once done. I got to work recruiting for Morathi's army to try and open a second front and take the 2 provinces I needed quicker. I also performed a rite to recruit a Black Ark, so that once my objectives were complete I could sail away lore accurately.
Lord of the Black Court.
A Tor Anroc army had overextended, and Malekith capitalised on it, attacking them. They had the backing of a nearby garrison, but if he could take them out quickly then we wouldn't need to fight them as well. This battle was all about speed. I rushed all of my forces forward to try and take out this small band of High Elves before their reinforcements could arrive. I used my shades more appropriately this time by sneaking them into the tree lines behind their forces and shooting them in the back. My Crows of Cain once again were targeting their artillery. I had Doomfire Warlocks racing around the flanks and dropping spells on them. Just as my forces were engaging in melee with buffs from my Sorceress. Malekith was getting involved casting spells. It was all going on in an attempt to get this battle wrapped up fast. Unfortunately, our time had run out, and an entire High Elf army arrived to reinforce. They charged at us downhill like it was the bloody Battle of Helm's Deep and we were the Uruk-hai.
Look out!
I tried to reform my lines as quickly as possible to face the newcomers with mixed success, and Malekith got immediately surrounded by hundreds of cavalry and had to cast spells on himself to get himself free. Once he was free, however, he and our Death Hag got stuck in once again, slaying many a High Elf. Our lines were holding, and our shades hadn't yet been discovered, so they were free to shoot onto the backs of the reinforcing army. And soon enough, we had managed to beat the second army back, and victory was ours. With the garrison gone, Malekith was free to take the Griffin Gate. Mission 3 for my assassin was to take out a level 1 handmaiden, which he managed, no problem. I pressed on with Malekith, sending him south to take out the rest of Tor Anroc, which proved to not be all that difficult. Over the turn we lost the recently acquired Griffin Gate, but 2 steps forward and 1 step back and all that. So Malekith went back up there and casually auto-resolved them, just because he could. Mission 4 for our assassin was to assault a developing Tor army, which wasn't a problem. Our little assassin was getting pretty good at his job now. We were closing in on our conquest of Tor Anroc, with Malekith moving through Ulthuan, beating everything that was thrown at him. Avathir was our final target for this province, and we acquired it with little resistance. 2 Caledor armies tried to take us on straight after, but the auto-resolve favoured us, and I wasn't about to argue. Mission 5 for our assassin was to kill another level 1 handmaiden. I'm starting to see a bit of a pan here. But anyway, critical success. Morathi was finally ready to head out again, so I sent her to open up that second front, and as soon as she left Nagarythe, Avalon besieged us. But luckily we were able to get a pretty easy auto-resolve. Morathi once again took the Unicorn Gate, and we lost Avathir to Eotaine, who had arrived with a couple of armies. I basically got Morathi to do exactly the same as at the beginning of the war by pushing onto Whitefire Tor and trying to take Illyrian. Malekith headed back to Avathir to try to deal with Eotaine, which went surprisingly well. I tried to attack one of the armies, they retreated. So I tried to attack another one, they retreated. Then I attacked once more and caught them both, wiping them out in one fell swoop. Beautiful. Unfortunately, just like the start of the campaign, Morathi got caught by 2 Tor Anroc armies in exactly the same way as before. Morathi's most recent defeat came while she was defending a hillside. She would not be humiliated by being beaten in the exact same way again. No, yeah, she definitely got humiliated. They surrounded us, absolutely shafted us with arrows, overwhelmed us with sheer numbers despite having the high ground, again. Our Death Hag got stabbed to death. Our Master got stabbed to death. Morathi did alright, I guess, by taking out some cavalry. But the amount of units and constant barrage of arrows that were coming in, we just couldn't hold them. And very quickly, everyone routed and the battle was lost. Morathi was once again dead in exactly the same way. So it was all up to Malekith. He charged back up north to take the Eagle Gate and have easy access to Illyrian's capital. The defenders of the Eagle Gate trembled at the sight of Malekith and his dragon Sulek as the Dark Elf forces approached. With good reason too, because many of those defenders got melted by dragon breath not too long after seeing it. I had learnt my lesson and used my shades incredibly well this time, getting them to sneak in completely unseen. I dropped a banger of a fire spell on the defenders of the main gate, killing and routing multiple units. My Shades and Doomfire Warlocks were causing panic and chaos as the High Elves tried to get organised but ended up getting shot to pieces. And Malekith had complete control of the skies, killing anyone that stood in the way of his army. The High Elves fled as quickly as they could, and the Eagle Gate was ours. Don't worry guys, I'm recruiting Morathi again, so there's absolutely nothing to worry about, we got this in the bag. This was it. Malekith pushed on the capital of Illyrian in an attempt to gain a serious advantage in the war and secure a gateway to the rest of Ulthuan. Atop his black dragon, Malekith surveyed the battlefield. The city was close by and gripped with fear. The High Elf defenders had come out of hiding to face him. A foolish move, he thought. They were now ripe for the slaughter. And we did kind of slaughter them, but they outranged us again, so instead of sitting and waiting as I'd planned, I charged everyone out to meet them in the middle of the battlefield. Chaos ensued as Elf killed Elf and the battle raged on. On the left flank, my Shades had unfortunately been discovered in the trees and were struggling to deal with the cavalry and chariots. But on the right, my Dread Knights were tearing through everything that they came across, chasing down and dealing with many of the High Elf units. Fire cleansed the High Elves from the battlefield, as our murderous prowess came into play once again. Malekith got control of the skies by forcing the enemy leader atop a golden dragon to flee. Just to give you an example of just how messy this battle really was, just look at this. Just units of both sides everywhere. Malekith and his dragon hunted down High Elves for fun. He was drunk on power and blood, and felt that nothing could stop his conquest. The dead littered the land on both sides of the conflict, but the Dark Elves were victorious, once again. Tor Anroc was ours, and Illyrian had one final settlement to take, and take it we did.
Come, Trookie.
With Tor and Illyrian both destroyed, our objectives were complete.
I shall in.
At the Battle of Malador, the Elven civil war culminated when Malekith's dragon Sulek is slain and Malekith retreats. In desperation, Malekith tries unsuccessfully to destroy the Great Vortex. The resulting magical backlash causes a huge tsunami, and Tor Anroc, Nagarythe, and most of northwestern Ulthuan is sunk, turning it into the uninhabitable wasteland it is today. Now that our main objectives were complete, it was time to finish the campaign by sailing to the place where the Druchii would eventually found Naggarond, so over many turns, that's what we did. We abandoned our settlements as the High Elf onslaught approached, eventually sailing all the way through the Sea of Malice to reach our destination. The Druchii who landed on the shores cleared out the ragged Chaos settlers from this new land. It was barren and inhospitable, nothing like the fertile lands they had come from. But in order to survive, they would have to carve out a home for themselves. After everything, all Malekith could think of was one day getting revenge on the Asur of Ulthuan. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and comment what you did or didn't like. I know there's a few of you that want to see specific characters and factions, and I promise I'll get round to all of them eventually, but as I'm going chronologically through the lore, it might take longer for some of them. I'm trying my best to get these videos out as quickly as possible, but due to my full-time job I'm limited on time, so we're looking at 1, maybe 2 videos a month. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one, and as always, if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. But until then, I'll see you in the next one.